is going on YouTube? It's your boy Denali, also known as Don Squally on other social networks. So recently I was tagged in a post on Instagram a few weeks ago actually by my buddy Mr. Jason Lyrics on YouTube, and he asked me to name 10 things that I hate about my car. It's one of those Instagram things going around. Now I really had to give it a lot of thought because at the moment I really like my car, you know what I mean? There's not much that I dislike about it. However, in one of my old videos, why I would recommend an Altima, I did say that I wanted to go over some of the negative things that I didn't like about this car. So it took me about a week or two to actually get this list together. Now the 10 things that I'm gonna name, the first 10 things anyways, are kind of things in general with Nissan and specifically this Altima that I've heard, read about, experienced, and am looking forward to dealing with in the future. And then there's a few things at the end of the video that I'm basically just gonna go over what I dislike about my car specifically. So without further ado, let's get into it. First and foremost with this car is the cheap plastic that Nissan uses in the car. I've had a number of different clips. My cup holder cover broke. The little clips here that hold this down broke, so I'm just using Velcro there. The thing that holds the hood latch on broke. You know what I mean? The plastics are kind of cheap. The inside, when it gets cold, today is not too cold, but it does rattle a little bit, so that kind of sucks, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna name that as number one. Number two, these cars are prone to rust. Like rust, you know what I mean? Obviously, every car is prone to rust a little bit. My last two cars that I had were GMs. I had an Oldsmobile Intrigue and a Chevy Impala. That's a lie, I had a CSX in between there, but that was too new of a car for me to really experience the rust thing. So I've always driven GMs, and with them I had my Impala up until 240,000 kilometers, pardon me, and the thing had barely any rust on it, you know what I mean? Whereas this car, floor panels rusting, you know, there's just general rust on the underbody, bolts and stuff like that are rusty. So the rust I dislike. That's number two. Number three, this is a VQ specific problem. The VQs burn oil. They just burn oil. I don't know what it is. The seals, you know, the heads and the seals don't make a proper I guess seal or compression, and gas and oil doesn't mix and combust properly, so it does burn a little bit of oil, not enough to be substantial and worry about it. However, there is a little bit of oil that does burn, and you know, you got to just keep your eye on it. Other than that, the engine's great. The bushings wear extremely easily. That's gonna be number four. Like I say, I had a Chevy Impala. My car before that, my Intrigue, I had for about 4 years, and then I had my Impala for 4 years. These cars, I never changed bushings. I did a couple wheel bearings, but we're talking about specifically rubber bushings. I didn't change any of those, and with this car already, I had the rear subframe crack. I made a video about that a while back, and when I did that, I did have to replace some bushings. I had a couple up front that needed to be done. There's axle shaft boots, the suspension boots that cover the shock and stuff like that to keep dirt and shit out. Those also wear a little bit. So the rubber is not the greatest material. Again, not a big deal, but it does kind of suck. Where are we? Number five. Timing chains. Timing chains are a fun thing, with also VQ specific. They're a fun little thing with these cars, and it all depends on who owned the car before you. If you had the car for a long time, were you beating on it? Like this car, was owned by an old lady, so it really got pampered in the beginning of its life. Obviously, you guys know that I kind of put it through a little bit of torture. So I'm expecting to do the timing chains soon. The problem with the timing chain is that if you don't take care of it, when you start hearing the rattling and stuff like that, then you potentially can blow an engine, and then that's going to cost you, you know, double what the original bill would have cost you. So timing chains suck. That's a crappy thing that I know I hear not a lot of cars have to deal with it like we do, you know what I mean? So that's number 5. Number 6, we're gonna go with the paint. The paint on the Nissans, and specifically the Altimas, because that's who I really associate with now on social networks, Instagram, Facebook, and things of that nature. The paint is not the greatest, you know what I mean? It chips rather easily. The clear coat tends to flake and stuff like that. Holy Christ, these people, it's a little bit of snow on the ground, everybody needs to drive like friggin' 10 kilometers an hour. This is usually one of the funner roads, but not when people are driving like little girls. Anyway, so the paint is not the greatest, so that's one of my complaints. Swirls easily. The clear coat really gets hazy very easily. So I've seen a couple paint corrected Altimas, SERs online. They look really good, so I'm considering doing that to my car. I'm gonna take it into a body shop in the summer and see if it's even worth it, because there is a lot of chips and scratches and things of that nature. So the paint sucks. Number 7, this is we're gonna say applies to the 2.5 and 3.5 guys. The precats on these cars, where they place them, just off of the header, almost directly where they come out of the engine. When they start to break down and stuff at high kilometers, they can, because the back pressure gets sucked into the engine and essentially blow your engine up. They can, if that stuff gets into the motor, that cat stuff really, it's like chalk. It's like putting chalk into the engine, and it'll just seize it up, you know what I mean? The engine won't get a chance to lubricate, and that's not a good thing. So the precats kind of suck. That's why a lot of guys go headers. The 2.5s especially, I would definitely suggest doing headers. It's just an easier thing to do. Oh, that's good stuff. So the precats are number 7. Number 8, I'm gonna say running aggressive tires on these cars. It's not necessarily tricky, but it sucks, you know what I mean? Because what you have to do is, if you're gonna put a wide offset or a wide tire, you're gonna have to roll the fenders, you know what I mean? When I switched to the 350Z wheels and tires, I was rubbing at the back, so I did have to roll the fenders. I didn't have the means to a fender roller at the time. They can range from like 50 to 200 bucks depending where you are and stuff like that. If you know somebody who does that, then they'll probably hook you up and give you a deal. For me, I did the baseball bat routine. It broke my heart to do it, but at the time I had to, because I was cutting into my tires. And you know, if you're gonna go low and you're gonna get an aggressive offset, which is what everybody wants these days, you're gonna have to roll those fenders, boys. So look forward to that. So that's a crappy thing to have to do to your new car. At the time, I've had this car for 2.5 years, so it's not really new to me anymore, but at the time it broke my heart. Number 9, we're gonna talk about changing an alternator, because with my old car, my Chevy Impala, I did a whole bunch of stuff. Water pumps, alternators, power steering and stuff like that, you know what I mean? I knew how to do it. It was all right on the top or the side of the engine. With these cars, you got to take the whole rad out, you got to take the fan out, you got to take all of that stuff just so you can access these. Maybe we'll go in here for a little tour to access the alternator. So it's a tricky job. You know, obviously with the Nissan engineering, they made it a little more tight, and I'm sure it's a little bit where it is, probably works better on the engine, but for maintenance it sucks. So that's number 9. And number 10, I'm gonna just say all around basic maintenance, spark plugs, we'll say belts and things like that, water pumps. It's just difficult. It's a tight engine bay to work on, you know what I mean? It's there's not a lot of room, and in order to get to a lot of these components, spark plugs specifically, the whole top of the intake has to come off. I haven't done that. I hear it's not that big of a job, but for somebody who hasn't done it, it's a little bit of a scary job. Whereas in a lot of other cars, you know, especially, holy shit, especially like some Hondas and stuff, oh, they're all just right there, boop, 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 and you're done, you know what I mean? So this car, that kind of stuff is more difficult than your general car. So with that being said, what is this guy flashing his lights to me for, bruh? Like, you don't think I know that there's sonogramming? With that being said, I'm going to call that the 10 things that I dislike about my Altima. Now, that's can apply to anybody's Infiniti, Nissan Altima, Maxima. Those are just general things that I dislike about Nissans. Now, there is a couple things with my car specifically I would like to change. The first thing is that it is an automatic. I did a video not long ago, about a year ago, saying why I bought the car that I did. It basically came down to low kilometers, service records, and being taken care of. And I knew that. I test drove a lot of genuine SERs and other Altimas that just, you know what I mean? They were just beat up. So this car was not beat up, and that really, I said, you know what? It's got the Tiptronic on it. We'll live with it. I did say I was looking for a standard, but I said if I can get one with the shifter here, because my CSX had the paddle shifters and I freaking absolutely hated that. I said if I can get a Tiptronic shifter here, everything I want, the VQ, leather, all that, I'm gonna settle for an automatic, which is what I did. However, you still get your balls busted for it. I know this, everybody knows it, whatever. We'll deal with that on the next car. And the other thing that I can say is that it's not an SER, you know what I mean? And it took me a lot to bring the car where it is to look like an SER, which is what I originally wanted, because like I said, I did test drive some SERs, but to get one that was in the shape that I wanted, I wasn't gonna find it in my price range, you know what I mean? But it does suck because I did have to spend quite a bit of money on the front end, seats, rear end. You know, it was money that I could have put into mods had I just got an SER off the bat. A lot of people bust my balls saying that it's not a genuine SER. I really don't. I don't care that it's not. It doesn't matter. It still performs just as well. You know what I mean? And I don't need, it's not one of those things like in my head psychologically, oh, I don't have an SER. That type of thing doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? So those are really the only two things that I'm kind of bummed out about this car. Other than that, I love it. And with all these things that I dislike about the car, the positives still outweigh it. So it's still a great car. If you guys haven't seen the video why I'd recommend an Altima, I'll give you all the reasons that I do like my Altima. You know? Anyways, we're gonna end the video because it's probably getting pretty long. It's snowing finally. Woo! So looking forward to that. Get some snowboarding going. Maybe some. Maybe we'll do some donuts and we can find a nice parking lot on the way back. Eh? Maybe we'll do that. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, like, comment. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. We got tons of content coming up in the summer. Just trying to always fill the YouTube library. And to my haters, dislike the video, comment. I love you guys too. You know, Denali loves you. So that's it, guys. Signing off. Peace.